Hear about the other prospect that you guys traded away that is having Tommy John surgery, the shortstop? Do you remember the
No,
other prospect that you guys traded?
I do remember that. I didn't know he was having Tommy John. I just know that my best pitching prospect is having Tommy John this week. And
Well, Jay Groom, yeah.
Sleep at night. Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Groom's having Tommy John. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm real upset about that. That guy is the future, Jay Groom.
But he's young, though. He's only 18, but
yeah, he's real young.
Oh, no, he's very young, and he's had a troubled past, but he was actually doing okay up until the injury. But I think what bodes well for him, well, probably better for him, but maybe not for the Red Sox, is because it's basically a 3-year thing with him because he's going to have Tommy John, so he's missing year 1. Year 2, he's going to rehab and try to at least pitch maybe a couple innings, and with him being a young kid, the Red Sox are not going to push him. Year 3 is going to be probably when they try to at least get him to be, I don't know how many innings he had exactly, prior to this injury, but by the time he gets to 100 and let's say 50 to 170, it might not be until year 4 or 5. So we're talking about a guy that might not get called up until he's 23, 24 at best. And the Red Sox right now don't have a solution. Yeah, the Red Sox don't have a solution to be able to call somebody up like the Yankees have with Severino and Sheffield and Domingo Acevedo. The Red Sox really don't have that because the one guy that they had in Kopech, although I understand Sale has worked out great, but to give up a guy like Kopech who you could have probably have used, it hurts more later if you don't win the World Series now.
Oh, we got no farm system left at this point. I mean, we have no big hitters, and we had Jay Groom. That was it. Kopech, the guy's come out and said he wants to throw 107 miles an hour. He's Tommy John waiting to happen, and he wants to be more of a closer. So I don't really hate moving him that much. Moncada, going to be good, but once again, you got Devers, Bogarts, Benintendi, Betts. Could you find a guy for him place to play for him? Yeah, of course. But, yeah, Sale's been good. I do hate the fact that if we don't win a World Series in the next 5 years, it's going to suck. Because the rebuild is going to stink.
We only really have about 2 to do it, realistically, unless we're able to replace, Porcello and Bogarts with adequate guys or whatnot. Because we're not going to be able to re-sign everyone either. But with the Sale trade, I wasn't crazy about it at first. I understood it, and I didn't lose my mind over it. But with Kopech, he had issues too. He broke his hand because he punched a wall after getting into an argument with his roommate, and like you guys were saying, he throws 104 or so, and I was a little skeptical about him, and the Red Sox as an organization, we're used to not developing our own pitchers. Like, I think the last one we developed successfully, if you want to call it that, was Justin Masterson, and then if you want to go back further than him, it would probably be John Lester. So,
and then you got Buchholz.
And wow, yeah,
the ever aforementioned Clay Buchholz, who could throw a shutout in one game and then give up a 9 spot the next. And
he did throw a no-no against the Orioles that one time. People forget that.
And he's the only guy in the history of the human race to go on the DL for a cuddling injury, too.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that.
That's world champion Buchholz right there, baby.
Going back to Groom, though, I would much rather have him do the surgery now than when he's already called up, in his rookie year or his sophomore year and already has his service time going and whatnot. And plans by then would probably hinge around him. He would be, a guy that they're kind of building around, so to speak. And so if he has it now, that none of that really gets messed with. And we're not going to have that nervousness that the White Sox are currently having with Kopech. So,
yeah, I agree.
Better now than later. As much as it sucks, you never want to have a guy, have to have that type of a surgery. But yeah. Let's just move on to Game 2. Graveman against Rodriguez. I kind of like what I saw with Rodriguez last time out. He was getting his strikeouts all in the fastball, which kind of concerns me. I don't want him to be reliant on just a couple of pitches. if he can get that slider going, I think that's what's ultimately going to make him a 2 or a 3 type pitcher. Maybe not in the Red Sox rotation because we're so deep, but on an average rotation, I think he does have the potential to be a 2 or a 3. And he's going up against Mr. Mustache, Daniel Mengden.
It was a great Muzzy.
It is. I guess he only does that on game day, which is kind of a relief because I'm like, I mean, I would imagine most females would be creeped out, over something like that, unless they're at a Harry Potter convention or something.
Yeah, there you go.
But,
I mean, hipsters out there in California, man, they're all about it.
Yeah, they certainly could be. So, I mean, I guess that game kind of hinges on, how effectively Erod can pitch. And we're hoping we're not going to be shell-shocked from the day before with Minaya again. But yeah,
I mean, you got the flip of the coin, like we talked about earlier. Are we going to get good Erod or bad Erod? And, if we get Erod that wants to throw 95, I don't care if he wants to strike guys out with a 4-seamer. I'll take it. But I agree. He's a second, third pitch type of guy. He's not that Chris Sale type velocity all the time, unless for some reason he just found it. But I think, yeah, he's a 4th, 5th guy on this squad, a 3, 4 on a decent rotation. But I think we could, do I think that we could sweep this series? Yes. Do I think we should win it? Yeah, absolutely. I think we should win the next 3 or 4 series in a row. There's not much coming up in the way that really concerns me.
Right. Actually, we'll get into that at the very, very end. Sale and Graveman. Graveman has been struggling mightily. I think his ERA is over 7 still.
Yeah, it's a 7.6 right now.
Yeah. And he was pitching fairly well against us before Moreland hit that grand slam. And Chris, was he the one who did get the win against you guys? Or
he
was
did.
That
well,
the game they won?
he came out when the Yankees he gave up a 4 spot. Well, he gave up 3 because he was taken out with guys on base, and then his bullpen, which, as you know, with Oakland, it's a bunch of guys that you either never heard of, or you have Castillo, who pitched for the Giants a couple years ago and now is with Oakland. He's been struggling ever since. But, yeah, he gave up 3 runs, and then the bullpen gave up another, and then they were able to get a couple more in the 8th and then the 9th. But he still has a high ERA, but he throws a heavy sinker, and if he doesn't get that ball in, it ends up being leaked out towards the middle part of the plate. And for the Red Sox, a team that has increased their swing percentage at first pitch and within the strike zone, especially for Mookie Betts, I'll put this on record. It wouldn't shock me if Mookie hits a home run off him first at bat, because he threw a lot of first pitch strikes to the Yankees the first time through.
Yeah,
love that take.
So that could be a lot of damage done, and Fenway's obviously a little bit more home run friendly than Oakland was when we last faced them. So, so that'll be interesting. I mean, he's up against Sale, so I mean, you would think that's an automatic win, but his starts tend to be the ones where we're not, getting a lot of runs. But maybe it should be different this time anyway. So it's a 3-game set. We'll all be happy with 2 out of 3 every time, regardless. It hasn't been working out the way we thought it has been, though. The way we get the 2 out of 3, based on
they're not pretty.
Yeah,
but man, they get there.
Yeah, because I mean, we figured Sale was going to win on Friday, and that would be the first of at least 2 or 3, and we ended up winning games 2 or 3. So it just never quite shakes out the way we're thinking. And Dave, as you were kind of alluding to, our schedule for the rest of the month is actually pretty easy, and 13 out of the next 16 games will actually be at Fenway Park. The only 3 will be an away series against the Rays, who have basically fallen off a cliff again. They had lost 5 in a row, and I knew they lost today, so they've either lost 6 out of 7 or 7 in a row. So that, they're basically back to being the Rays that we thought they would be.
There's no reason. I mean, there's no reason for the Sox not to win out the rest of the month series-wise. I mean, you got
Right.
them that fell off the cliff. You got Oakland, who, yeah, they played the Yankees tough, but I mean, they're nothing more than a 500 team, even though they've improved. We just beat Toronto. I mean, that's what it should be. And I think that if they struggle and finish 500 at the end of this month, it's going to suck, because this is a good time to pick up some games on the Yankees, considering the Yankees have 10 more home games than the Sox played, and we have 13 of the next 15 at home. I mean, we're going to even that out pretty soon. So to pick up these wins, because the Yankees already have 10 home games on us, that would help us out in the standings, I think, a lot come September and August.
Yeah, and I mean, our schedule so far has been fairly easy, and eventually we're gonna be facing the Houstons and the Clevelands, and we still have quite a ways left to go with New York. So, and we got a series against the Braves coming up too, actually. So that'll be interesting.
We do. That's going to be a good series. They're surprising me this year. They're mashing the ball as well, and they're playing better than I think people thought they would this year. I don't know, Chris. You've been around the prospects. How did you have them pegged at this year?
To be honest with you, I expected them to be good next year. I knew that they were going to bring up Acuna. I did not expect Ozzie Albies to be as dominant of a hitter as he has been this year. But, I talked about earlier with bringing up these guys at the right time, making sure that both the pitchers and the hitters can peak. You saw, a couple weeks ago, within a 4.5 day period, you saw them bring up Acuna, you had Albies, and then they also brought up Soroka, 3 of the youngest players in Major League Baseball. And they've all been doing well. And I think being able to have, a guy like Nick Markakis there who can teach them the ropes, both, in his times with Baltimore and being in the AL East, where every game was a grind, was a battle. I'm telling you right now, and Mets fans are probably not going to want to hear it, and I know they've been struggling, but this Braves team is here to stay, and they're only going to get better. They have a lot of prospects. They have the ammunition like the Yankees, being one of the top 3 systems in all of minor league baseball, where they can go out and get, maybe like a Chris Archer, a Michael Fulmer, or whoever. They have the prospects to do that. But this Braves team is scary, and what's a lot, very dangerous about teams like this is that they don't know what they're doing. They've never been in a pennant race. They're just going out and having fun.
Yeah, they're just having a great time.
So it wouldn't shock me if they swept the Red Sox. It wouldn't shock me if they swept the Yankees. No, seriously, because
I hear you.
They just don't know what they're doing. That's why I'm more intrigued about how they do in late July and August, after the trade deadline, because typically after the trade deadline, that's when things really start to get serious and you start to see the playoff race start to shape. I want to see how they handle that pressure. If they handle it well, better than the way the Brewers did last year, then this team is special. If they don't, then I know, okay, it speaks more to how they need a little bit more time to develop. But this team, on paper, they're good, and they're going to stay for a while.
It's interesting that you talk about how they're they're winning because they don't know any better, type of thing. And we saw that with Devers last year. He hit that home run off of Chapman, and I just felt like it didn't really matter, who the pitcher was, because he was so green that every moment was a big moment. And
great point.
Yeah, I think that's how that's an excellent point you made about the Braves, because they just don't know any better, and they're doing well. And this is extremely far-fetched, but just say, with the low percentage chance it would be that they win a World Series, how big of a kick in the nuts would that be to all the, the 90s Braves that just couldn't quite get there,
Bobby Cox would just I don't
exactly.
Even I don't even want to say what would happen, but he'd be running into some issues.
Like, these guys don't deserve it. They didn't earn it.
No.
I don't know. It would just be funny. But I also agree that they are here to stay. And I think the Nationals should take more exception to that, because the Mets have always been a clown show. I know they got to the World Series a couple of years ago, but just I don't know what it is. I mean, they've replaced a lot of people, you know, behind the scenes, their training staff, their manager, all that. But
yeah, the The Mets just stink every year.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened today with the Mets?
No.
No, I missed it today.
DeGrom threw